Hello and a very warm welcome back to the old shop where it is a beautiful sunny day today. It hasn't been all that sunny for a while. We had lots of rain. The roads have been really muddy, all the lanes around here. Yeah, really muddy. But today it's just absolutely glorious. Apparently there was some ice early on, but I must admit I was not outside at the time, and it's actually all melted now and it's lovely. So I thought it would be a lovely time to come and say hello to you and put a few bits and pieces together into another old shop video because yet again the season's moved on. So there's a few things to show you. I want to just give you a quick look at the back garden because everything's actually become even more bare and you can really get it's very transparent now, the whole garden. So just got its wintry appearance, I thought you might be interested to see. And there's a few other things, been out and about, so there's a few things to show you there. And also, before I forget, I have put in a bit of it's quite old footage, it's just after I made the last video, but I did mention that I was going to make sure I made my soul cakes on old All Souls Day so as not to forget them altogether, and I did do that. So I've proved it by putting filming it while I was doing it, and I've put that in as well. So that's the oldest bit of film in here, and all the rest is really from now. So I hope you'll enjoy it. Get cozy and enjoy. It's Old All Souls Day today, so it's really my last chance to make the soul cakes. Now, what I've done before switching on the camera, because it's very dull watching someone rubbing fat into flour, but I've got some flour here and I've put in some baking powder and some spices and what else have I put in? Baking powder, spices, and I've rubbed in well, it's actually some vegan butter. Now, I'm not really much of a one for using something like a vegan butter uh, because I like things to be as natural as possible. And obviously, it's been processed to make it like butter. And it's really hard to find traditional recipes like this soul cake one, which don't use things like butter, sugar, flour, and eggs often. Well, this recipe finds a way not to use eggs as well, and it uses this vegan butter rubbed in. I can't think of another way of doing this particular recipe. I guess you would just have to not make this kind of cake, but just now and again for festivals, I sort of think I justify it to myself. So that's kind of that. I spared you the rather uninteresting bit of me rubbing in these little cubes of vegan butter. So all I need to add now is this sugar, which is coconut sugar, and some currants here, and then there's milk. Well, it's soy milk mixed with vinegar, or yes, and that makes it kind of curdle like this, like buttermilk, which helps the rise and just helps it to be better, basically in general. Once I've brought the mixture together into a dough and obviously got it onto the table here, ready to roll out, I will show you. So I've managed to work the dough into a ball, and I've got this old, well, it's like a sort of plasticky Bakelite 60s kind of cutter, which I think probably came from my mum's kitchen. Because she had that kind of thing, and I've also my rolling pin, which I really like. I needed a rolling pin, I didn't have one, and I found it in a charity shop just in one of the nearest towns, and it's just exactly what I was looking for. And I found it the very day I was looking for one. I just kind of thought about rolling pins, and there it was. So I'm really lucky. It's really heavy. It means it rolls out very well. So I'll make the little cakes and I'll show them to you on the baking tray. My mixture has made 2 trays full of soul cakes. My oven it's only a little tiny tabletop oven, and it can only do 1 tray at a time. So that's fine. I shall do something else while they cook, but I'm just going to show you how I cut the crosses into the top. So just with the back of a knife, I'm going to have to put the camera down while I do it, I think, and I'll show you them done. So here they are, duly marked with the cross with the back of a knife, and I think if you cut it fairly deeply, that's good, so that you keep the cross stays when it cooks, but obviously not right through, or else you'll get 4 little tiny wedges rather than a whole soul cake. So I'm going to pop them in the oven now, or at least the first tray of them, and I'll show you them when they come out. And here they are, the first tray full of soul cakes out of the oven. So I shall have to leave them on the baking tray for a little while to cool before I try and move them, otherwise we may well have fragmented soul cakes, but they're looking quite nice. I think they've browned up quite nicely, and I'm hoping they'll be tasty. They certainly smell nice and spicy. So I thought we could have a little tour around the back garden again, because a couple of weeks, or no, probably more than that actually, have gone past since we looked before. Probably more like a month, I should think. And of course, everything has got even more stripped back, and the woodland in particular is looking really transparent now. So I thought we would have a little wander. You can see here that the beans are looking even more skeletal. I actually quite like them somehow in their sculptural gaunt forms with all the shadows that they're casting. And we walk round and have a little look beyond the vegetable beds, which aren't looking very different, although we've had a couple of frosts or more probably now. But it's still been relatively mild, I guess. So we're looking now at the trees, and you can see all the more that some of them are looking a bit spindly still. They are far too close together, I'm sure, but it's easy in a way now. This would be a good time of year probably to cut down the ones, not cut them right down, but cut them down lower, the ones that haven't really grown much, to make a shrub layer. But the ones you can see here against a beautiful blue sky have really grown. They really are enormously tall. They might be a little bit thin because, again, they're a bit close together probably. But even so, the birches, they are, well, you can see from how my hand is against it, they are proper tree trunks. They really are, and they have got their silver coloration as well, and the peeling bark is doing its thing, which is very exciting. Yeah, I know I always say that they were all little spindly twigs, but they actually all were roughly the same size as each other when they went in as hedging saplings. So you can really see the ones that have got their feet in and really love I guess they love the position here or the soil, I'm not sure. But anyway, looking down from the other end of the path now through the woods, and this is the bamboo, which is really the only thing which isn't as far as I can think, either a native plant or one which has been introduced centuries ago, many centuries ago. But I suppose bamboo has as well. But I associate it with big country gardens. particularly actually with the garden at Green, which I know I've mentioned before, but many of you might be familiar with the stories about Green by Lucy Boston. And in that garden, there's a bamboo thicket. And one of the books, particularly A Stranger at Green, all really takes place in the bamboo thicket. So it has got a sort of mythic rationale. And it was given to me by some friends as a little clump. And it hasn't spread too far, it's just got tall. So I'm happy to have it there. The alders, which are another of the very successful trees here, I seem to have got so many cones this year. I think as the leaves are falling, the cones become even more obvious, and they're so lovely against the sky, aren't they? They really are. They really are a joy to see. And there's a little link with the alder car, I suppose, down the road. So I've just, how about you can see this, the table and chairs are just kind of in the right place to look into the woodland and to just get the most of little bits of sunshine there are, because that's the sunniest corner of the garden. And I was just going to mention actually that I was looking at one of Colette at Byrhtnoth Cottage. It wasn't a video, it was I think it was some photographs she posted, and I noticed again the little table in her garden, which I was actually inspired to get this one from watching Colette with her cast iron table using a Kelly kettle on it. Now I've got a Kelly kettle myself, because I think they're just such a brilliant idea. You put wood in, little bits of wood like twigs and pine cones. In fact, I might show that in action at some point. But obviously, having a metal surface to put it on is quite a safe way of using it in the garden, and it raises it off the ground as well. So I was really pleased to copy Colette's idea, and I found this little table I actually found one on Marketplace in Facebook, and then I went to have a look, and it was a gypsy establishment, and they had loads and loads of these kinds of tables and chairs, but the one I'd gone to look at wasn't particularly sturdy. It was a very flimsy little thing. So I asked if they'd got anything else, and they took me to these great big barns full of metal stuff, and I found this little table and I loved it. So I said, yes, I'll have that one, please. It's really heavy, small and heavy. It's got a crack in it, which made it cheaper, but I didn't mind that because because I loved it. Anyway, it was only the other day, looking at Colette's table, that I realised this is exactly the same one, even down to the design that goes down the legs of more roses and the little rose circle, beautiful little rose circle just at the base. So just the last thing I want to show you is this beautiful sea buckthorn. Oh, I love the orange berries, and it's just so lovely against the blue-green of that foliage, and it's such a different shape, the foliage to the berries. I don't know everything about it apart from its prickliness, which isn't necessarily ideal in the garden, but it's obviously has its purpose where it grows naturally. It's just everything about it is just beautiful. Well, here we are back again at the table I was showing you earlier, but I thought you might like to see something. This is something I've never done before. I'm sure that many of you probably have, but I always used to ask my mum what she would like for Christmas, and she would always say an amaryllis bulb. This is an amaryllis bulb, and they come in like a box. I'm sure, again, I'm sure most of you have seen them. They get there for sale usually just before Christmas time, and you can get colours like white, red, pink, and so on. But my mum wasn't very keen on pink. But generally she would be given an amaryllis by somebody. But it was almost like a family joke, and for me it always kind of went with older people. I don't know whether that's fair or not. Older people sitting rooms with an amaryllis in them. Anyway, I've completely changed my tune about this. I really like amaryllis, particularly white ones. I'm being a bit distracted here because a long-tailed tit just landed. Oh, I don't know if I can show you them. There are several long-tailed tits. They've just landed in the trees here. They've gone off again now. Anyway, sorry. So what I was going to say was, so I was at the supermarket last week, and I thought, I think I'm going to do something I've never done before and buy an amaryllis bulb to have an amaryllis. I don't think it'll be flowering by Christmas or anything by what it says on the packet, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. And they only had one white one left, so that seemed to have my name on it. And here we are. So what it gave you in the box was the bulb, which I've just shown you here, and this plastic pot, and it had like a little disc inside. You can see steam coming off this, but I'll explain why in a moment. Just a little compressed disc, which was coconut compost, coir compost, and it said put hot water in it, and then it will expand into compost, which seems almost unbelievable until you do it, and it does exactly that. So here we've got compost. It said leave it for 30 to 60 minutes, but it seemed to get like this almost straight away. The only thing is I'm not a great plastic pot fan, so I found one of my old pots here. I'm going to use that instead. It's a lot bigger, but if I need to get some more compost out of somewhere else in the garden, I can do that. So what it tells you to do. Oh, by the way, also it doesn't put it's a pot without a hole in the bottom, which I imagine it obviously doesn't need to have. It doesn't need the drainage that a lot of plants do. This is a traditional plant pot, so it does have a hole in the bottom. I've put a little bit of broken brick in the bottom here, but I'll also have to stand it on a saucer or something. So, which is fine. I can find a saucer. So let's just get going. I brought a spoon out to deal with the compost, so I don't get too mucky, and I'll give it a go. The instructions say to fill the pot half full, and then to put your bulb on the top, which I'm just about to do, making sure it doesn't touch the sides, which it doesn't, because it's a much bigger pot. And then you just fill this pot until about a third of the bulb is still uncovered. And there's lots more compost here, so I think even though I'm using a bigger pot, there should be plenty. So I think we're done now. That looks about right to me. And I've brought out a saucer. Well, it's a bowl, shallow bowl, which I'm going to stand it in. So when I water it, I don't think it will need a lot of water from what I remember of amaryllis. You can see it's such a chilly day that you can actually see the steam rising where I rehydrated the compost. But it's not actually hot, the compost, at all, so I'm sure it won't do any harm to the amaryllis. So it tells you to put it in quite a light, warm place, which I shall put it on one of the windowsills, I imagine, in the old shop, and we'll see what happens. I'll show you its progress if it starts to sprout. So I've just been inside to find an old, I think they had mushrooms in this container. I just rescued it from the recycling bin, and I found some cress seeds, some organic cress seeds. There's a tiny little bit of compost left, and I thought I'll just spread that in the bottom of this and sprinkle some cress seeds, and we'll just see what happens. But I don't think I'd have thought to do it otherwise, so as the compost is here, give it a go. The seeds are quite old, but because it was just a little tiny bit of compost left and they only need a very thin little layer, I thought, that's what gave me the idea really of doing this. So I'm just going to sprinkle a few in. Actually, I should probably sprinkle them fairly thickly, thinking about the way cress grows, and put them on the windowsill, keep them moist, and hopefully there'll be a little crop of microgreens, which are really full of nutrients and good at this time of year as well, when there's perhaps less in the garden. Well, there we are. I don't know whether that's exactly the right amount of seed or anything, but I'm thinking if I just keep it moist, hopefully they'll sprout and they'll be a really good source of, green sprouting goodness.